Hey, how y'all doing? This is Mongo Slade, and today we're going to talk about Keith Lee eating his first pinfall loss to Braun Strowman on Monday Night Raw, October the 19th, 2020. So, for a lot of people who are really upset about this, uh, I was surprised, but having been watching WWE my whole life, I shouldn't have been. I should not have been surprised. I should not have been surprised at all because we should know by now that if you love something, this man is gonna either hit it with a wrench or push it in front of a speeding car. And a lot of people have been really upset about Keith Lee losing, uh, particularly because a lot of people don't like Braun Strowman. I don't mind Braun Strowman. I actually quite like Braun Strowman as a as a personality, as a human being, as a performer. He's okay. He's a giant, so he has the giant limitations. They want him to roar. They want him to smash things, and he does those things successfully. He looks legitimate while doing it. So I don't really have a reason to hate him because he can't do. I'm not going to hate a guy because he can't do a hurricanrana. I don't want him doing hurricanranas anyway. I want to see him smash things and roar. So there it is. I'm not going to blame Godzilla for not being Bruce Lee. I watch Godzilla movies to see Godzilla. I watch Bruce Lee movies to see Bruce Lee. If you don't like Braun Strowman, that's perfectly fine. Now, the reason why I was a little taken aback was because we really didn't need that match again. Strowman beating Keith Lee made no sense because Strowman had just gotten destroyed by Roman Reigns. He got choked out and then he got beat with a chair. This was the perfect impetus. Strowman, again, yes, he's a giant, but he's wrestling another giant. Keith Lee is also a giant. Now, you could just say, well, how can we push this match back? You could simply say, have Braun Strowman, he's the heel, so he gets the bitch out. He'd be like, look, I'm injured. I just had a title match. I will face you Hell in the Cell 6 days. Give me 6 days to heal from my match with Roman Reigns. That would have been perfectly fine. Instead, they decided to go with the old hit him in the balls technique. Now, let's okay, look. This, like I said, Braun Strowman beating Keith Lee is not a problem because Braun Strowman is a main event guy who only loses to main event guys. He lost a lot recently. Okay, he lost to the Fiend at SummerSlam. He also lost the Swamp Fight to the Fiend, but he lost to the Fiend at SummerSlam. He lost at Payback. He's the one who got pinned in the Payback match, the Triple Threat match. And so he needed to be rehabilitated. That's why it sort of makes sense that Braun Strowman he was due for a win. Let's put it like that. He was due for a major win, and yeah, he beat Dabba-Kato, and but Dabba-Kato really was not established as well, he kind of was in the Raw Underground. He was established. And they kind of had Braun Strowman kill it. I think that was the last episode of Raw Underground. But I don't think, and I will say this, despite the fact that so far I've kind of been putting forth the idea that Braun Strowman is not that bad, I will say Braun Strowman beating Keith Lee was a bad idea. Braun Strowman is not the guy you have beat Keith Lee in his first match. The reason why you don't do that is because you had an opportunity with Keith Lee, who was coming fresh off of being the NXT champion. You could have, if he was going to lose his first match, it should have been either to Randy Orton or Drew McIntyre as a way of putting them back into position. I know that Keith Lee lost a bunch of disqualification matches and he lost the triple threat match, even though he didn't get pinned or submitted. But a lot of people are not, they're not doing real well with Keith Lee. We get to Keith Lee in a moment. But Braun Strowman is not really the guy. Again, there's no harm in Keith Lee losing to Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is not a job guy. Despite the fact that a lot of people spaz out about Braun Strowman losing too much, Braun Strowman has not lost that much, and he only really loses to top guys. He doesn't lose to like jabronis and stuff. So he loses to like Brock. That's kind of what they were doing with Samoa Joe, where they would have him lose to like other champions and stuff like that. That's their way of sort of protecting him. They were doing they would do a similar thing with other people. Don't want to fall down that rabbit hole. So a lot of people are really upset, but I like I said, I disagree with Braun Strowman being the guy because Braun, For starters, I don't like that it was like a 4 minute match on Raw where somebody got hit in the nuts. So it was a contested finish. And then Keith Lee hit him in the nuts. So now it's like, oh, it's another one of those I hit you in the balls fuse. It's like, no, not really. What the story that they were telling is that Strowman is a big, strong boy. Keith Lee is a big, strong boy. They wanted to fight each other. They was gonna, take their Vince McMahon is a child. He, smashes his toys together because that's kind of how it was. But there was no heat between them. There was no feud between Braun Strowman and Keith Lee. There was no reason for them to fight. Now there is, because Strowman faced somebody who is just as big and strong as he is. He hit them in the nuts to win. Now, this is also tied into the Roman Reigns match because Roman Reigns hit Braun Strowman in the nuts, and that's how he won. So it's almost like Strowman is now learning that he has to cheat against people who are his same size. Instead of trying to overpower them, he's trying to cheat against them. So he's going to be, wrestling sort of as I don't want to use the word normal, but he's going to wrestle a more typical heel style against Keith Lee, which I say would have been fine if they would have had him bitch out of that match. If he would have bitched out of the match on Monday and said, I'm hurt, I can't do the match, and Keith Lee could have been disappointed. Everybody could have been disappointed, like, oh, no. But we did all see him get battered with a chair. And you could have been like, well, the dude is like 6'8". Why would he do that? But he's a heel. He can get away with that. And then on Sunday, you could have did the same finish. Strowman's bended over, boom, hit him in the nuts, kicked him in the throat, pinned him. And everybody still would have been mad. But it would have been, okay, you gave him some time to heal up. But with that quick turnaround, you really did kind of shit on Keith Lee. Because Keith Lee lost to a guy who not only lost to Roman Reigns, but somebody who was beaten with a chair, who came into the match not 100%. Now, they're thinking maybe Braun Strowman needed to cheat because he wasn't 100%, which I guess is the same as trying to put the match off. Okay, I figured that. But this still was a bad idea. Look at what they did with Walter. Now, I know I jumped way over to Walter. Now, for people who did not watch NXT UK the week of, it was the week before this. Let's put it like that. I don't remember the date. But it was doesn't matter what the date was. But they had a tag team match between Ilya Dragunov and Pete Dunne versus Walter and the Hatchet Man of Imperium, Alexander Wolf. And it was a fucking awesome match. It was fantastic. And in that match, Walter suffered his very first pinfall loss in NXT UK. He got pinned by Ilya Dragunov. Ilya Dragunov is the number one contender for his title, for Walter's title. Despite the fact that Ilya Dragunov is about as big as one of Walter's legs, it made sense in storyline purposes that if you wanted to legitimize Ilya Dragunov, he has to do something nobody else has ever done. And he did that. He pinned Walter in a tag team match. First ever loss, made it feel really sweet. It was a great match. You had that same opportunity here where you could have taken Keith Lee up against Drew McIntyre or even Randy Orton, giving him a long match, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, and he gets pinned. And that was been his very first defeat. Instead, his very first defeat is in a nothing match on Raw, which is technically the main event, even though it didn't close the show, in a dirty finish that involves somebody get hit in the balls with a guy who was already injured. Oh, it's bad. It's bad. It's a bad idea. It's a bad idea. Now, it doesn't really give you any sympathy for Keith Lee because Keith Lee gets up immediately afterwards and rages out on Strowman and hits him in the nuts, and then, stands over him, grabs him by the face and tells him, "Don't you play with me. Don't you play with me, boy." And I was kind of like, okay. But I think it would have been more sympathy if they'd have played it up. Like, this is how Keith Lee loses his first match. To a former Universal Champion. You can't really shit on Braun Strowman. But it was completely bullshit how he lost. And that, it was bullshit. Play up that fact that he was screwed. Instead, they had him rage out immediately afterwards. And what are you going to do? You know, like the 50-50 nature of it, which is the story that they're telling, by the way. I saw a lot of people saying, like, oh, why are they 50-50 booking? It's like, well, they're telling the story of them being equals. That's what they're telling. They're telling that story. Because despite the fact that a lot of people don't like Braun Strowman is sort of an equivalent to the Romans and the Fiends and the, you know, the McIntyres and the Ortons. He's in that echelon. He's a champion. He beat Goldberg at WrestleMania. You know, there was a reason why he got the phone call and they didn't just pick Ricochet to win the title or something like that, okay? So despite the fact that a lot of people don't like Braun Strowman, you can't deny that the guy is in a certain position. So losing to him, again, it's not that big of a deal. I just don't like how it was done, okay? And I saw a lot of people really, really mad about it because Keith Lee doesn't look as dominant as he used to, and he looks like a goddamn giant M&M in his fucking singlet. You know, that singlet, dog. Oh my goodness. The Keith Lee run has not been good. I will say that. Since the theme music came out and the singlet and his gear isn't right, they made him shave his beard. I don't get it, man. I don't get it. I don't. Keith Lee is phenomenal. They over tweet. Like, they didn't really need to change anything. Like, if it had been one thing if they'd have just fucked up his theme song. But the way they have him looking, you know, is really weird. But I'm on the fence about this Braun Strowman thing. I don't like that they did this match again, second time in 3 weeks or something like that. Second time in 2 weeks or something. I don't like that. I don't like that he lost the way that he lost. I think if you wanted to get Strowman, get some of his heat back, you don't use Keith Lee for that. That's a wrong way to use Keith Lee. If you needed Braun Strowman to get his heat back, which is what they wanted, what you do is you have Braun destroy the 24/7 division. All of those guys, not Kalisto, but Gran Metalik and Lince Dorado and R-Truth, all of them just get thrown around. You roar, like I said, be Godzilla, smash, throw things, and leave everybody laying all over the place. You could have did a segment to fix all of that stuff later. You know, maybe he cost R-Truth the 24/7 title by throwing up against something, and Tozawa pins him, and then you do a roll-up or something like that later to put the title back on Truth. But you do something to show that, you know, Braun Strowman is furious after his match with Roman Reigns. He's not going to wrestle Keith Lee, but he's going to go out and smash things and make a ruckus. And then maybe Keith Lee confronts him. And, you know, you build the heat between the two of them that way. As opposed to having this 3 fucking minute match that features a bullshit finish that leaves everybody upset. But this is WWE, dog. I mean, if you get too attached, when you're too attached to a character, too attached to a storyline, too attached to a situation, they will shove a cattle prod in your ass. And that's what this is. Everybody is so attached to Keith Lee that they decided people are too attached to this guy. We have to, I mean, you feel that intense burning that people, I felt the collective hate of the internet. When it happened, I wasn't even on my phone because I don't like live tweet. I stopped live tweeting. I just did that. But I could feel like the smoke emanating from my phone as after that pinfall, because I was even surprised. I was like, oh. And then I go, after the show, I went on the line. I was like, yeah, everybody's mad. Look, if you don't want Vince McMahon killing your darlings, then go where they treat it like porcelain dolls, man. You know, AEW, they don't, well, unless you're like Brian Cage or Lance Archer or something like that. Sorry, you know, but Vince McMahon, man, he'll put the rocket behind somebody and then, you know, cut the fuel line. It's crazy. It's crazy. But I've been going through this shit a long time. If you're a younger fan, I don't know what to say. You know, detach. Watch it like you watch a TV show. Have fun with it. Try to understand it. Try to explain it. Sometimes there is no explaining it. But this at least had some grounding in reality. They're not going to come out and tell you what they're doing, But these are the things that I sort of saw in the match. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like this video, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll talk to you guys later.